Welcome to Love Story with Lisa, where I share romantic audio stories. Today, I'll tell you a new love story. The sister-in-law was a noble lady. By a twist of fate, she was mistakenly married into my family, and became the wife of my rough and unpolished brother. Synopsis: on the day of the wedding, the bridal sedan chairs of my brother's bride and the youngest daughter of General Zhao Wu were accidentally switched. By the time anyone realized the mistake and tried to correct it, the woman who was meant to be my sister-in-law had already entered the bridal chamber, and so my brother Yuan, a man blunt and rugged by nature, dazed and bewildered, found himself with a bride who was a refined young lady from a noble household. Yet later, when I saw him standing in the courtyard, gripping a broad saber and cutting loose the tangled red thread for her, I suddenly felt that the two of them were, in truth, perfectly matched. Please, come closer. Let me tell you the story. The day brother Yuan was married, mother and I were overjoyed beyond measure. When brother Yuan was 14, he left the village with our uncles to seek a living elsewhere. We had all believed he would end up doing nothing more than heavy labor, carrying loads, hauling goods, breaking his back for a few copper coins. But fate turns like a wheel. On the road, he saved the life of a military officer. That officer later helped him enlist in the army, and when brother Yuan returned to fetch mother and me, he was no longer the village boy we had known. He was now a fifth-ranked general of the Dingyuan regiment. The day we entered the capital and stepped into the residence he had prepared for us, mother smiled so broadly her whole face seemed to shine. The courtyard was spacious, the house grand, and the furnishings gleamed with quiet wealth. If we were ever to return to the village, we could boast about it for 3 days and 3 nights without running out of things to say. But after laughing for a while, mother began to cry. Beneath brother Yuan's clothing were layers upon layers of scars. One wound lay only half a finger's width from his heart. One glance was enough to know how close he had come to death. Mother said that this prosperity had been bought with his life. He must first be allowed to enjoy it. And what is a good life for a man? Of course, a wife and children, warmth and harmony. The general brother Yuan had saved bore the surname Zhao. He too had been promoted, a fifth-ranked general, half a rank above my brother. On the battlefield, they had made a pact. If they both survived and returned alive, General Zhao Wu would marry his youngest daughter to brother Yuan. When mother learned of this promise, she had scarcely warmed her seat before she began arranging the marriage. I once asked brother Yuan quietly, "Do you like Miss Zhao?" He looked up at the sky. On the battlefield, he said, "There's no time to think about liking or not liking. You only search for one more sliver of hope to survive." His eyes were distant, so distant. I thought then that the battlefield must be unimaginably harsh. Beyond mother and me, he must have clung to the thought of many possible futures, many small hopes of a better life, just to endure it. Then he added, "Whether I liked her before or not, once she becomes my wife, I will like her. I won't let her be cold. I won't let her go hungry. And I won't let her be unhappy." He looked at me. Remember this, Ji. That's what makes a man. If the man you marry one day cannot do that, tell me. I'll steal you back home myself. Our family has money now. I can support you for a lifetime. Brother Yuan had planned everything well, but at the very last moment, the bridal sedan chair was carried to the wrong house. That day, a sudden violent wind rose without warning. When the bridal procession reached the end of the street, the wind blew so fiercely the sedan chairs tilted and swayed. By sheer coincidence, the daughter of the minister's household was traveling the same road. Recently, near the capital's Temple of Fate, there was a painter said to possess extraordinary spiritual insight. Every noble family commissioning a wedding used bridal sedan chairs and wedding garments designed by him, and so, the sedan chairs of both households were nearly identical. The servants of the two families never noticed the switch. When the wind finally died down, the wrong bride had already been carried into the wrong residence. The ceremony proceeded, bowing to heaven and earth. Entering the bridal chamber, the red veil was lifted, the ceremonial wine was about to be shared, and then, a shrill cry. The maid from the Zhao household stared in horror. "Who are you? Where is my young lady?" Mother and I rushed over at the commotion. There, seated upon the bed in deep crimson wedding robes, was a young woman with her head slightly lowered. Her expression revealed nothing, yet there was something exceedingly gentle about her, a quiet grace that filled the room. Brother Yuan stammered awkwardly, "Miss, please don't worry. I've already sent someone to notify the Gu residents. They will arrive shortly." From behind him, I saw his ears turning bright red. The maids began explaining all at once, voices overlapping. Only then did Mother and I understand. This was not the Zhao family's daughter. This was Qiao Ruochen, the legitimate daughter of Minister Qiao. Unlike my brother's marriage, which had attracted little attention, her engagement to Gu Qing had been the hottest topic in the capital. Even a country girl newly arrived like me had heard of it. The legitimate daughter of the minister's household had suffered greatly in her early years under a harsh stepmother. But her late birth mother must have been watching from the heavens, for the young master of the Grand Chancellor's family had taken a liking to her. That young master, Gu Qing, was blessed with both striking appearance and exceptional scholarship. At 17, he had placed as third scholar of the imperial examination. In only 5 years, he had risen to become a fifth-rank civil official. In our dynasty, civil officials were held in the highest regard. Even at the same rank, they were considered worth far more than military officers. Alas, my brother Yuan truly could not compare. Though I could see a faint starlight still lingering in his eyes, he stood at a careful distance from Qiao Ruochen, repeatedly reassuring her that the Gu family would arrive soon. But only an elderly nanny and a young maid came. The old nanny wiped her tears and said, "The Gu household realized too late. Young Master Gu and Miss Zhao have already entered the bridal chamber." She swallowed. "The Gu family says, I'm afraid this marriage cannot be exchanged back." The young maid was far quicker with her tongue. The moment she opened her mouth, she began cursing the despicable wretches of the Gu household. As soon as they heard young Master Gu would not marry our young lady, she fumed. They carried away every last piece of her dowry. And they didn't even bother to come fetch her. What are we supposed to do now? Are we truly to return to the Qiao residence? And if we go back, who knows what filthy household they'll marry her into next time? Only then did Mother fully grasp the situation. She waved her hand, signaling everyone else to withdraw. She was still not used to commanding servants. Even that small gesture felt awkward and unfamiliar. She hesitated for a moment, about to speak, but the young lady spoke first. She lifted her head. She looked straight at Brother Yuan. Her voice trembled slightly, yet beneath that tremor was something far stronger, a current of will, of resolve. The strength of someone determined to fight for her own fate. "Master Song," she said, "since matters have come to this, are you willing to see it through and marry me?" Much later, Brother Yuan told me that when he first lifted the red bridal veil and saw her face, he thought he had married a celestial maiden, and now, heaven in its mercy had granted him a second chance. So his answer could only be yes. That night was chaos. After settling the Zhao family's people and sending the dowry onward to the Gu household, the bridal chamber ceremony began anew. Mother saw the foolish, dazed look on Brother Yuan's face and pulled me to crouch beneath the window to eavesdrop. We squatted there until my legs went numb before the two wooden blocks inside finally spoke their first words. Brother Yuan said, If you are unwilling, I can sleep on the couch. I understand. I am a rough man, not like your kind. There was no reply for a long while. Then, a soft sound, a small chew. It sounded exactly like the little kiss I give our kitten. After that, Xiao Ruochen stammered softly, then. Do you understand now? Whether Brother Yuan understood or not, I cannot say, but Mother certainly did. She pulled me away, and once we were far enough, she burst into laughter. Good. Good. Marrying this wife is very good. Your brother has grown this big and still isn't as capable as a young lady. Mother was delighted, so was I, but after only a few steps, we heard words far less pleasant. It was the two attendants who had accompanied sister-in-law. The maid named Shui Huan pursed her lips. Our young lady truly has a bitter fate. Young Master Gu was so refined, so elegant, and now she must marry some country brute. Just look at this residence, what a mess. When I went to the kitchen earlier, they didn't even know to prepare hot water in advance. We had to boil it ourselves. Nanny Tao snapped at her sharply, mind your tongue. What do you mean, their residence? From now on, this is also the young lady's residence. The young master, the old madam, and the young miss are all our masters. Watch what you say, don't bring trouble upon the young lady. After scolding her, even Nanny Tao sighed. What else can we do? The young lady doesn't even have a single chest of dowry left. That will be her greatest weakness in the future. All her clothing and expenses will depend on others. She won't even have the confidence to raise her voice. I wanted to argue. What they said wasn't right. Brother Yuan had said he would never let sister-in-law be unhappy. Our family had money now. Supporting her would not be a problem at all. But Mother stopped me. She pulled me back to our room and counted gold until midnight. Those gold ingots had been given by Brother Yuan. He once told us that after serving as a vanguard, every time they won a battle, the general would distribute spoils seized from the enemy according to merit. Brother Yuan knew nothing of jewels or ornaments. He chose only gold ingots of equivalent value. On the day Mother first arrived in the capital, he had moved all of them into her room, because once, long ago, Mother had said, if in this lifetime I could sleep upon gold, I would have no regrets. Brother Yuan remembered that wish, so he had saved an enormous amount of gold for her. Mother divided the gold into 3 portions. Pointing to one portion, she said to me, this part will be your dowry. I've realized something. People in the capital care deeply about such matters. If a respectable girl doesn't bring enough dowry to support herself for life, she will be mocked. Look at your sister-in-law, more talented and beautiful than your brother by far, yet she's still anxious about her dowry, afraid our family will look down on her. I liked sister-in-law very much, but I loved Brother Yuan even more. Hearing this, I felt unhappy. Brother isn't inferior at all. He's just a little darker, but he's very handsome. Since we were young, the village girls have always surrounded him. He may not excel in literature, but Mother, you've seen him practicing saber in the courtyard at dawn. He looks magnificent. Even the maids stare at him without blinking. Mother chuckled, that's my son. How could he be inferior? Then she pointed at the remaining 2 portions. One part is for your brother. The other for household expenses. I intend to hand it all to your sister-in-law to manage, so she can feel at ease. Do you agree? I nodded. After all, Brother Yuan had earned it. Letting sister-in-law manage it was only proper. Early the next morning, sister-in-law respectfully served tea to mother. She presented mother with a headscarf she had embroidered herself. She gave me a small scented sachet. Blushing, she said softly, "These are simple items. I hope mother and little sister will not disdain them." Before a bride leaves her home, she is meant to embroider gifts for her husband's family. But all of sister-in-law's dowry had been carried back by the Chiao household. She didn't even have spare clothing. We had to send someone out to buy her garments. Where would she have found a headscarf and sachet? Brother Yuan helped her sit down and explained, his voice full of tenderness. Ruochen stayed up all night embroidering them. She said the wedding rites were already imperfect. Whatever could be remedied, she must do her best to remedy. Looking closely, we indeed saw dark circles beneath her eyes. Mother had been right. Sister-in-law's heart was unsettled. She dared not make even the smallest mistake. I quickly took her hand. "What, little sister? There's no need for that. From now on, sister-in-law can just call me Ji, the way brother Yuan does." Sister-in-law's hands were truly skillful. The butterfly embroidered on the sachet looked as though it might lift its wings and fly away at any moment. Unlike me, I could not even manage basic stitching. A trace of relief flickered through her eyes, as if she had finally found something she could do. "If little sister is willing," she said gently, "we can practice embroidery together." Mother immediately cut her off. "That won't do. You are now the wife of my Song family's eldest son. After the 3-day return visit, you must begin managing the household affairs. How would you have time to play with a child like her?" "Mother wishes me to manage the household?" Ruochen looked startled. "How could that be? I am still young. As a daughter-in-law, I must learn from my elders. I would be too afraid." She refused in a fluster, as though such responsibility were far beyond her. Mother pressed a heavy ring of keys into her hand. "Just treat it as helping this old woman. Every day they bring ledgers and accounts to me, this book, that register. I can't read a single character. How am I supposed to understand them? It's exhausting. These are the keys to the storeroom. When you have time, go take inventory. Inside is the gold I brought, and some gifts exchanged with other military families." When she realized mother was serious, even brother Yuan stepped forward and gently closed Ruochen's fingers around the keys. Only then did she accept them properly. With solemn composure she said, "Daughter-in-law promises you, every coin in this household will be clearly accounted for. I will not betray your trust." That very afternoon, she did not even spare a glance at her newlywed husband. Instead, she led Nanny Tao and Shui Huan straight into the storeroom to begin inventory and recording. Mother worried they might grow overheated and sent me with chilled mung bean soup. Before I even entered, I heard Shui Huan's voice again, but this time, she was speaking kindly. "I never expected the old madam to be so generous." In most households, which matriarch would relinquish control of the keys so easily? They only hand them over when the daughter-in-law grows old. Ruochen said nothing, but a smile bloomed across her face, not the cautious, restrained smile from that morning. This one was steady, grounded, comfortable, good. She had understood mother's intentions. I poked my head inside. "Sister-in-law, I brought soup. And I also want to say something on brother Yuan's behalf. These gold and silver ingots won't sprout legs and run away. You should go check on brother Yuan instead. He's already passed by this courtyard several times." Whether from embarrassment or shyness, her face flushed red. She did not answer directly, only waved me over. Ji, since you're here, help your sister-in-law. You're already 13. It's time you learned these things. Ah, I had meant to help Brother Yuan. Instead, I dragged myself into labor. Because she was so occupied, sister-in-law did not concern herself with the matter of returning the betrothal gifts. All of that was arranged by Brother Yuan. We intended to bring back the bride price originally sent by the Zhao family and return it to them properly. After all, Brother Yuan and General Zhao Wu shared deep bonds forged on the battlefield. The bride price we had prepared was already generous, but Mother remembered how the Qiao household had acted and added even more. She wanted sister-in-law to have face. But when we arrived at the gates of the Qiao residence, we could not even enter. Rows of household guards stood barring the entrance. Not a single master of the house came out to receive us. Only a steward appeared, speaking loudly from the threshold. Our Qiao family does not intermarry with military households. This marriage we do not acknowledge. If the eldest young lady retains even a shred of dignity, she should return home. The family will naturally support her for life. Support her, return home like that, other than a nunnery, where else would there be room for her? No wonder Mother insisted I accompany her despite propriety. She had said that Brother Yuan, as a man, could not conveniently intervene in certain situations. If sister-in-law's stepmother wished to stir trouble, I must stand ready to defend her. Causing offense did not matter. We were country folk. Ignorance of refined etiquette would be expected of us. Step by step, I prepared to charge forward, but Brother Yuan grabbed the back of my collar and pulled me behind him. He stepped forward instead and spoke in a clear, carrying voice. Civil and military families do not intermarry? I heard that 2 days ago, Grand Chancellor Gu's wife entered the palace to recount this incident before Her Majesty the Empress Dowager. His Majesty was present as well. His Majesty laughed heartily and praised it as heaven's ordained fate. Are you, a mere servant, questioning the Emperor's will? Ruochen looked at Brother Yuan in astonishment. I, too, stared wide-eyed. Was this truly my brother? Since when did he speak with such sharp precision? Minister Qiao was a high-ranking official, yet Brother Yuan showed not a trace of fear, and his words struck true. No sooner had he finished than a man emerged from within the gates. When Ruochen saw him, she stepped forward and bowed. Father. Brother Yuan also stepped forward. Father-in-law. But Minister Qiao raised his hand dismissively. I am not worthy of that address. This marriage had no proper matchmaker. No formal betrothal rites. The Qiao family does not acknowledge it. Do not attempt to use the Gu household to pressure me. Responsibility is commendable in a man. But ours is a daughter. If she understood propriety and shame, she should have returned home that very day, not truly married herself off. This time, I did not even widen my eyes. The shock was too great. Even though I was still young, I understood clearly. For a biological father to speak such words in public was no different from forcing his daughter toward death. Ruochen stood there quietly. Her eyes did not redden, but I found her even more pitiful because of it. She must have been treated this way often enough that nothing surprised her anymore. The crowd around us began whispering. Their murmurs swelled like rising wind. I stepped closer to Ruochen and gently wrapped my arms around her. Sister-in-law, don't be afraid, I whispered. You have a home now. We will protect you. She had not cried when her father spoke, but at my words, a single tear slipped down and fell onto my cheek. When Brother Yuan saw her tears, anger edged into his voice. Minister Qiao's words are difficult to understand, he said coldly. We have already bowed to heaven and earth. My wife waited then for her father to come and speak for her. Yet your household thought only of rushing to carry the dowry back. Not even a single person came to fetch my wife. She is only a young woman, 18 years old. Married by mistake. Abandoned by her parents. With no one to guide her, what could she do except follow the Gu household's lead and accept wrong as right? After he finished speaking, those who had been pointing fingers at Ruochen seemed to wake from a trance. That's right, someone said. How old is the bride? How could she possibly handle something like this? She only followed what she saw others do. If the Chiao family truly did not wish for this marriage, shouldn't her parents have come to bring her home that very day? Instead, they only cared about the dowry. So pitiful. I heard the one managing the Chiao household is the stepmother. Where there is a stepmother, there is often a father who turns a blind eye. You don't understand. The bride was meant for the Gu family, for face alone. The dowry must have been lavish. That stepmother probably couldn't bear to part with it. The moment she heard of the mistake, she rushed to carry it back. Voices overlapped, one after another. Minister Chiao stood there, momentarily speechless. And just then, a middle-aged man pushed through the crowd, fury blazing on his face. Is this how you treat the daughter my younger sister left behind? He demanded. When the child married, you did not even inform me, her uncle. I heard the news and hurried here. And what good fortune that I arrived in time to witness this. Otherwise, who knows how much my niece would have suffered. Joy flooded me. I grabbed Ruochen's hand tightly. A father might fail her, but an uncle was still an elder. He had the standing to speak. Behind him, more than a dozen young men emerged, each carrying boxes wrapped in red silk. He raised his voice toward the gates of the Chiao residence. You refuse this son-in-law? Then I, as her uncle, accept him. You refuse to provide a dowry? Then I, as her uncle, will provide it. Filial duty begins with elders fulfilling their responsibility. You, as a father, behave thus? From this day forward, let the son-in-law and niece have nothing more to do with the Chiao household. I am here to discuss marriage ties with the Song family. Brother Yuan seized the moment and added loudly, neighbors, you all heard it. It is the Chiao family who refuses this poor son-in-law first. My wife has already married me. She is my family. It is not she who is unfilial. It is her father who refuses her filial devotion. Since that is so, the Song family will respect Minister Chiao's wishes. From today onward, we will not step through your gates again. With that, he cupped his hands in farewell and turned away alongside Ruochen's uncle. Behind us, Minister Chiao shouted, she is an only daughter. Where did this uncle come from? But at that exact moment, the celebratory musicians the uncle had brought began blasting their horns and pounding their drums, drowning out his words. The crowd looked toward the Chiao residence with open disdain. Then, to the sound of jubilant music, they followed us. It truly felt like a grand procession delivering a bride's dowry. Ruochen and I climbed into the carriage first. Before entering, she kept her gaze fixed on Brother Yuan's back. I do not know why, but I felt that in her eyes. There shimmered tiny stars, just like the ones in Brother Yuan's eyes on their wedding night. Only after we returned home and shut the gates did Brother Yuan tell us the truth. That uncle was a distant relative from Ruochen's maternal side. Her mother's immediate family had long since passed away. Otherwise, she would not have been mistreated so easily. On the wedding day, When Brother Yuan saw how the Chiao household handled matters, he feared something like this might happen. He had secretly asked his brothers from the military camp to fetch this distant uncle in advance. As for the dowry chests the uncle brought, they were mostly filled just to give the appearance of abundance. But the dowry list was read aloud clearly when entering our residence, and everything written upon it was truly recorded into storage. Brother Yuan had used the bride price to make up the difference. He had made such a spectacle for one reason, so the outside world would know that Ruochen had maternal relatives to back her, that she had brought a proper dowry with her, that no one could mock her. There was one more thing. Only after Ruochen returned to her room did Brother Yuan say this: with the Chiao family's conduct, trouble may come in the future. If they treat her well, we will lend them support. But if they do not, then today's actions shall count as a clean break. I looked at Brother Yuan, suddenly feeling he was unfamiliar. Brother Yuan, are you really my brother? You've become so clever. The words you spoke outside the Chiao residence, before. You could never have said such things. He rubbed my head. Silly girl. Do you think the military camp runs on fists alone? There are plenty of old foxes there who wield pens instead of blades. If I weren't a little clever, I couldn't even manage the soldiers under me. In my heart, I thought, no wonder, now he resembled a dark fox himself. Mother listened, and her eyes grew moist. She changed the subject and cursed Minister Chiao. What a wretched man! To treat his own flesh and blood so cruelly. After cursing him thoroughly, she pulled me into her arms. Good thing your father died early. Men are heartless creatures. If I were watching from heaven and saw him treat you like that, I would strike him down with a bolt of lightning. I hurriedly covered her mouth. Spit it out, mother, spit it out. Father is in heaven protecting Brother Yuan and me. That's why we've grown up so well. He's not some old bastard like those from the Chiao family. After the 3-day return visit, sister-in-law's spirit was clearly no longer what it had been before. She began to take charge of the household affairs, and only then did Mother and I realize that in these past few days, quite a number of things in the manor had quietly gone missing. Sister-in-law gathered all the servants in the courtyard, laid out the account books, and began checking the inventory in front of everyone. Looking at Auntie Lee, she said calmly, "The storeroom used to be under your care. I would like to ask you something. Among this set of jewelry, a bracelet is missing." Auntie Lee had come with us from the village. Mother instinctively explained, "She can't read. Even if you show her the book, she won't understand." Sister-in-law smiled gently at Mother. "It's all right. I've drawn illustrations. She'll understand at a glance." I stretched my neck to look. Beside every line of writing in the ledger was a small drawing. They looked exactly like the items I had seen in the storeroom. Auntie Lee also forced a smile and replied, "Young madam, what would I know about bracelets? As for that bracelet, could it be that these past few days, when you were moving things in and out of the storeroom, you dropped it somewhere?" Behind sister-in-law, Nanny Tao gave a heavy snort. "Auntie Lee," she said coldly, "the young madam addresses you as Auntie out of courtesy, not so that you may act like an elder in this manner. In this residence, you will address your masters as old madam, general, young lady, and young madam." Mother opened her mouth as if to speak, but I tugged at her sleeve from behind. Seeing that Mother remained silent, Auntie Lee reluctantly said, "Young madam, I truly don't know where that bracelet is." Sister-in-law lifted her eyes and looked at her lightly. "If you truly do not know, then Nanny Tao, please take a few people to search her room. Perhaps Auntie Lee's memory fails her, and she brought it back by mistake. The moment those words fell, Auntie Lee exploded. Just like back in the village, she flopped onto the ground and began wailing, "Li Chionghua." She cried, calling Mother by name. "Back then you begged me to come. And now what does your daughter-in-law mean by this? Am I being treated like a thief? Now that the Song family is rich, you forget your old kin like this?" Li Chionghua was Mother's name. But when we came to the capital, Mother had never begged her. It was Auntie Lee who, knowing that Brother Yuan was about to become an official, came to our house every day lamenting that she could not survive. Mother, unable to bear it, simply asked if she wished to come along. Auntie Lee immediately followed. After she came, some of the more daring villagers followed as well. Mother could not favor one and neglect another, so she arranged for all of them to work in the manor. Cui Huan, with her sharp little tongue, stepped forward. "Stop pretending here. I'll search your room. If nothing turns up, I'll kneel and kowtow to you in apology. But if we do find it, you'll come with me to the magistrate. Do you dare?" At the mention of the magistrate, Auntie Lee's face turned pale. She collapsed onto the ground and said nothing, but Cui Huan did not let her off. "You saw that bracelet was rare back in the village. The old madam isn't used to wearing such things, so you dared to steal it. You even took advantage of her trust and stuffed it in your own room. That's why you don't dare let me search, isn't it? And the rice, the flour, the food money, the cloth for clothes. You've probably eaten yourself plump on all of it, haven't you?" Auntie Lee was not someone easily frightened. Yet her expression said everything. Even so, she was from the same village as Mother, and Mother could not help but look at sister-in-law with a hint of pleading. Mother had promised Brother Yuan that once sister-in-law took over the household, we were not to interfere. Brother Yuan had said that managing a household was a discipline of its own. Servants had their own calculations and schemes. If Mother spoke up now, sister-in-law would be put in a difficult position. And if anything happened in the future, those people would use Mother to pressure her again. In that case, sister-in-law's authority would exist in name only. So Mother said nothing, but sister-in-law understood Mother's gaze. She declared, "Auntie Lee is from the same village as my husband." I believe she was only momentarily confused. The Song residents will give her, and everyone else, one chance. Tomorrow, before sunset, as long as the items are returned to the storeroom, the matter will not be pursued. But if there is still no repentance, then we will have no choice but to report it to the authorities. When those words were spoken, I clearly heard many people let out sighs of relief. Just how many things had they stolen from our home? After everyone dispersed, Mother sat down as if her soul had left her body. I trusted her because we'd known each other for decades. That's why I let her manage things. How did it come to this? The moment she finished speaking, sister-in-law knelt directly before her. It is this daughter-in-law who has caused Mother pain. I should have handled it more slowly. But the situation is special right now. If the inner residence is not cleaned up, a greater disaster may occur. The special situation she referred to was that her father, Minister Chiao, had submitted a memorial accusing Brother Yuan of arrogance, of disrespecting his elders, and of lacking the virtue befitting an official. Because of this, civil officials and military officers were arguing fiercely in court. Mother knew this. It was simply that her heart had not yet adjusted, I secretly told sister-in-law not to worry. I had a way to cure Mother's troubled heart. The next day, Mother and I sat by the storeroom, watching as uncles, aunts, maids, and servants came one after another, constantly bringing items back. Gold hairpins, rings, earrings, anything valuable was returned. The boldest among them had even dared to hide a gold bracelet as thick as a finger. Mother's heart ached at the sight. She took the initiative to knock on sister-in-law's door. "Daughter-in-law," she said firmly, "manage them. From now on, you will manage them strictly for me." Throughout the process of sister-in-law's management, I followed her closely. She told me that these things were what a young lady must learn. She herself had suffered because no one had taught her. Everything she knew now, she had learned in secret. Confronting Auntie Lee like that had been her first true test. When no one was looking, her hands had trembled. She was only 18 years old. It truly was not easy, but she had done remarkably well. The servants in our household were originally divided into two groups. One group had been purchased by Brother Yuan before we arrived. The other group consisted of relatives from our village who had come up to the capital with us. Mother said they were not servants at all. They could only be considered as coming to help. Sister-in-law removed all the fellow villagers from the manor. Those who had stolen were given money and sent back to the countryside. Yet there were still many who had remained clean. For them, sister-in-law opened a shop outside and arranged for them to work there. She said to Mother, "If one stays too long in the inner courtyard, even someone who is not a servant will slowly become one. But if they go out and do business, they rely on their own ability to earn money. In the future, when they return to the manor, we can still treat one another with the affection of people from the same village." As for those within the manor who had signed indenture contracts, sister-in-law chose one person who refused to admit to stealing and had him beaten in front of everyone. She said coldly that if there were a next time, he would be sold off. In any case, the manor would soon be buying new servants. After that, everyone behaved. Mother did not watch the punishment. She could not bear it. Instead, she asked softly, "Ruachan, must servants truly be bought? We are all human. To make someone into a slave. My heart cannot accept it." In the courtyard of our old home, Mother had often worked alongside the neighbors. She had never liked it when others called themselves your servant before her, so sister-in-law brought us to the slave market. In a tiny yard stood people of all ages, old, young, men, women. Some of the children looked no more than 5 or 6 years old. A girl about my age, bright-eyed and quick, tugged at Mother's sleeve and knelt down. "Old madam, you look kind-hearted. Please buy me and my little sister. I can do anything. We don't want to be sent to those filthy places." Mother rolled up the girl's sleeve. It was covered in whip marks from her previous master. Behind her, she hid a little girl who only reached her waist. Sister-in-law stepped forward and said gently, "I know Mother is compassionate and does not wish to turn people into slaves. But you do not know how filthy the matters in the inner courtyards can be. Many servants are abused like this and then sold away. If we buy them, at least we can ensure they will not suffer in our manor. If they go elsewhere, there is no such guarantee." Mother fell silent, so did I. We did not know what life was like in grand households. But we had known hunger and hardship in the countryside. We had seen families sell their daughters. If those girls could be sold into our manor instead. Perhaps that truly was not the worst path. Mother bought the pair of sisters. She had also come to understand and allowed sister-in-law to refurbish the manor in the manner of an official household. In my own courtyard alone, several maids were assigned to me. After more than a month of such painstaking effort, the manor was completely transformed. Everything followed rules and order. The kitchen had hot water and hot soup available through all 12 double hours of the day. Those who swept the courtyard only swept the courtyard. Those in charge of winter clothes and socks handled only winter clothes and socks. Jewelry was kept by the most trusted senior maid to ensure nothing went missing. One morning, Mother awoke and looked at the orderly bustle of servants moving about. Suddenly she sighed, "Your father," she murmured. That old man raised children for the Song family, yet he had no fortune. He did not live to enjoy these good days. After speaking, she began worrying about the next generation. "Tell me," she asked me, "are your brother Yuan and sister-in-law truly getting along well now? When will I get to hold a grandchild?" I grinned. I followed sister-in-law every day. I knew very well whether their feelings were good or not. For example, yesterday in the study, sister-in-law wanted to teach me calligraphy and painting. She told me to choose a few illustrated books I liked. I flipped through them and found a small volume. The story inside was fascinating. It told of a rural youth who went out into the world, endured countless hardships, faced life and death on the battlefield, and slew enemies in war. Sister-in-law's paintings were beautiful, her characters simple and clear. I loved reading it. The more I read, the more the protagonist resembled Brother Yuan. I teased her. "Sister-in-law, do you think Brother Yuan is so formidable that you painted him so vividly?" She had not meant to show it and tried to snatch the book back, saying it was only a work done on impulse. But when I asked, her face flushed red. Still, she could not help nodding. "My husband is, of course, formidable. Back then, he was so young and yet dared to venture to so many places. He even earned merit on the battlefield and survived, more than countless sons of noble families." In her pride was a deep admiration. Mother and I had once worried that they might be like ducks with water poured over their heads, unable to understand each other. But from that illustrated tale of a youth braving peril, it was clear that Brother Yuan had shared far more of his heart with sister-in-law than he ever had with Mother and me. At least, I had never known that Brother Yuan once saved General Zhao Wu by feeding him field mouse meat, and whenever Brother Yuan faced sister-in-law, his sharp mind and bold courage seemed to vanish entirely. That day, sister-in-law sat in the courtyard, watching him practice with his great saber while sewing clothes for him. The thread was too tough and would not snap no matter how she bit it. She was about to return to her room to fetch scissors, but Brother Yuan could not bear even a moment without looking at her. In his haste, he grabbed the thread and sliced it clean in two with his great blade. He stood there awkwardly, sweat beading across his forehead, while sister-in-law, her face flushed, had to wipe it away for him. Speaking of his saber practice, there was something even more amusing. Usually, only male attendants stayed by Brother Yuan's side. Yet whenever he practiced his saber, somehow a maid would always appear beside him, offering tea and water. That time, a pretty maid who had just entered the manor secretly used money to buy this position from another maid. She pretended to stumble and threw herself into Brother Yuan's arms. It so happened that sister-in-law and I had just learned to make pastries and were bringing some over for him to taste. We caught the scene with our own eyes. Brother Yuan, tall and broad-shouldered as he was, turned pale with fright. He shoved the maid away at once and said, "She threw herself at me. I was just standing here. I didn't do anything." Sister-in-law deliberately teased him. She frowned slightly and said, "Your martial skills are so good. How could you fail to dodge a mere young woman?" "I understand. As your wife, this is something I should do for you." Her tone was so convincingly solemn that it frightened Brother Yuan into shouting at once, "I didn't. I didn't. I'll dismiss all the maids in the manor right now. From now on, we'll only use male attendants." With that, he turned to go to the storeroom to fetch the indenture contracts. Only then did sister-in-law realize the joke had gone too far. She hurriedly pulled him back. "What nonsense are you saying? You may not need maids, but Xiao Ji does. When she marries in the future, if she has no dowry, will you take responsibility?" It was only that day that I realized sister-in-law treated me so well that she was already planning how I could marry one day with my head held high. Perhaps she had suffered before, and did not wish for me to suffer the same. With such affection between husband and wife, my little nephew or niece surely could not be far off. But before the child arrived, Brother Yuan still had some trouble to resolve. The Qiao family continued to attack him. Not wanting mother and me to worry, Brother Yuan only said briefly that the matter had grown into a dispute between civil and military officials and would take time to settle. In truth, Minister Qiao had not been entirely wrong about one thing. In our dynasty, civil and military officials did not intermarry. It was not written in law, merely an unspoken tradition. When the dynasty was first founded, a grand chancellor and a great general had nearly overthrown the imperial house through an alliance forged by marriage. Since then, successive emperors had deliberately favored civil officials over military ones, allowing the two factions to stand in opposition to each other. When sister-in-law first taught me about this tradition, I grew anxious. What would become of her and Brother Yuan? She patiently explained that Gu Qing relied upon the protection of the Gu household. His father was already Grand Chancellor Gu, and Gu Qing himself was highly talented. His Majesty would surely have need of him. Compared with allowing him to marry the daughter of a high-ranking civil official, it was better that he wed the daughter of a fifth-rank military general. After all, General Zhao Wu was no longer young, though only fifth rank. Compared with a young fifth-rank military officer like Brother Yuan, their political weight was not the same. That was why the Gu family dared to turn black into white and marry Miss Zhao Linyue instead. They had even entered the palace to see His Majesty. Since the emperor did not pursue the Gu family's wrongdoing, naturally he would not pursue Brother Yuan and sister-in-law either. I felt a measure of gratitude toward Lord Gu Qing, but within days, I saw him with my own eyes. He came to seek help from Brother Yuan and sister-in-law, and beside him stood Miss Zhao Linyue, who had nearly become my sister-in-law. I quietly sized him up. He was somewhat fairer than Brother Yuan, but in terms of looks, he was not superior. He cupped his hands politely and said, regarding the Qiao family case, "Gu Qing, have something to request of General Song and Madam. Might we find a quiet place to speak in detail?" Brother Yuan did not move. He planted his saber upright before him and said coldly, "Lord Gu, have you nothing else to say to my wife first?" Sister-in-law tugged at his sleeve. "The outcome now is good for everyone. I do not take it to heart. You need not either." But this time, Brother Yuan directly pointed his blade at Lord Gu. That was heaven's mercy. If anything had gone wrong that day, she is a weak woman. What you did would have pushed her into death. If I do not beat you, how can the hatred in my heart be dispelled? With that, he threw aside his saber and swung his fist at Gu Qing. I was about to intervene, but sister-in-law held me back. "Let him. He truly deserves it." Only then did I learn that the entire mistaken marriage had been the handiwork of this young Master Gu. He had admired Miss Zhao Linhua, but his family background did not allow him to seek her hand openly. His father would not agree. Nor would General Zhao Wu. So he had planned the mistaken bridal switch from the very beginning, the painter at the Temple of Marriage prayers, the bridal procession route. All had been arranged by him long in advance, even the wedding date that mother had calculated over and begged the heavens for, a day of fierce winds, had been chosen by him after studying the celestial signs. Brother Yuan had always felt something was strange that day. Fearing someone meant harm towards sister-in-law, he investigated for a long time before uncovering the truth. Gu Qing had chosen sister-in-law precisely because, though she bore the Qiao surname, she had no one to protect her. That was the true source of Brother Yuan's fury. If the mistaken marriage had gone awry, who knew how Madame Qiao would have tormented her? Fortunately, there is no if in this world. Sister-in-law is now my sister-in-law. Miss Zhao Linhua stood to the side, covering her eyes, not daring to look. Yet she did not step forward to stop the beating. She said to sister-in-law, "He deserves this beating." When I first learned the truth, I struck him myself. But I still wish to explain on his behalf. It is not that he did not care about you. He weighed Brother Yuan's character and understood your circumstances before making his decision. I know, even so, even if he was selfish. Even so, I could not bear to return him to you. Sister-in-law smiled faintly and looked toward Brother Yuan before replying, "Even if you wish to return him, I would not accept him." Young Master Gu's methods were not honorable. Yet thanks to him, I found a man who is truly upright and noble. Everyone has their own fate. Young Master Gu went to such lengths, sister-in-law said softly. I hope the two of you may remain together all your lives, just as you wish. By the time she finished speaking, Brother Yuan had also finished beating him. There were no visible wounds on Gu Qing's face, but judging by the way he moved, it would take at least a month for his body to fully recover. He inclined himself in a respectful bow towards sister-in-law but did not step forward. He only glanced at Miss Zhao Linhua. She immediately went to support him, and the two of them walked away slowly together. As I watched their retreating figures, I suddenly felt that between them there was another kind of understanding, another kind of quiet happiness. After that beating, when young Master Gu came a second time, Brother Yuan was noticeably more courteous. After all, in a strange way, he had become the matchmaker who brought Brother Yuan and sister-in-law together. Brother Yuan even gave him the wound medicine commonly used in the army. They spoke in low voices in the study for a long time. Not long afterward, the Qiao household collapsed. The list of crimes posted at the marketplace was long, very long. I only clearly heard one charge: colluding with the enemy and betraying the nation. While Brother Yuan had been risking his life on the battlefield all those years, that old scoundrel had been secretly selling intelligence to the enemy. Even death would not atone for such a crime. On the day of the execution, sister-in-law did not go. Brother Yuan took her instead to the hot spring estate outside the city. There were mountains and water there, the most suitable place to ease a troubled heart. Perhaps the feng shui there was truly good. Not long after they returned, sister-in-law became pregnant. Mother was overjoyed. Every day she lit 10 sticks of incense for father, urging him below to eat his fill and bless sister-in-law and the child with safety. When the pregnancy reached 8 months, the order for troop deployment finally came. The enemy beyond the border had stirred again. Brother Yuan had to leave. Mother did not sleep all night. Tears streamed down her face as she clutched him. My son, we won't take this post anymore. I don't need to live in a grand house. I don't need to sleep on soft bedding. Come back to the countryside with me. We can farm and still survive. Brother Yuan lowered himself and knelt. He said only one sentence, Mother. In my heart there is not only this family. There is also the nation. There are my brothers in arms. Such words were too vast. Mother could say nothing more. Sister-in-law said nothing either. She kept smiling as she packed his belongings from clothes to boots, refusing to let Chui Huan help at all, folding everything neatly with her own hands. That smile made my heart ache. I began to think wildly. Perhaps the very first civil official who proposed that civil and military families should not intermarry had not feared the emperor at all. Perhaps he had only loved his daughter. He knew that when a general rode to war, whether he would return alive depended on heaven. He did not want his daughter to live in endless dread. So he created that excuse. I asked sister-in-law if she regretted it. She shook her head. After following your brother, I understood what a soldier truly is. If I were to regret it because he might die, that would be a blasphemy against him. I worry, but I will never stop him. Brother Yuan must have understood her as well. He said no words of apology or anything of that sort. Instead, he used every spare moment to carve wooden bows and wooden swords. He said martial skills were beneficial whether learned by sons or daughters. It would be as if this father were always beside the child. He also left sister-in-law a thick book. The handwriting was not beautiful, but the meaning was. It recorded his feelings after every victory. He was comforting her in his own way. In the second month after Brother Yuan left, sister-in-law gave birth. It was a girl, a very lovely girl. We named her Yuanan, hoping that the one far away would be safe. Sister-in-law remained as busy as ever, busy managing the household. Busy caring for Yuanan, busy continuously opening new shops. She earned an astonishing amount of money, more even than the gold Brother Yuan had once brought home. Every time the court called for military contributions, our household donated the most. Sister-in-law believed that even if it could make Brother Yuan's armor slightly thicker, his sword slightly sharper, his chance of survival slightly greater, then no hardship was too much. But the war dragged on. It dragged on until Yuanan. Turn 3. Brother Yuan still had not returned. I knew those letters reporting safety could no longer calm sister-in-law's heart. She had begun secretly practicing horseback riding until the insides of her thighs bled. Yet never giving up, she had not left yet only because of mother and me. With Brother Yuan gone, she felt it was her responsibility to care for us well. On Yuanan's birthday, I brought sister-in-law the luggage I had already packed for her. I lifted my chin proudly and said, Sister-in-law, go. I'm 17 now. Everything I should have learned from you, I've learned. Whether it is the household or the business, I can manage it. You don't need to worry. She slung the baggage over her shoulder, hesitated only a moment, kissed her sleeping daughter. Then mounted her horse and rode off with bold grace. Poor me. That night I realized that business might be easy, but comforting a child who could not find her mother was the hardest task of all. Still, I am glad I let her go. My good sister-in-law truly possessed remarkable talent. She had originally intended to open shops at the frontier, but her painting skills surpassed even the portrait artists within the army. Thanks to her ability, Brother Yuan successfully captured a highly important enemy figure. In exchange for that man's return, his nation signed a tribute treaty with our court. On the day of their return, Brother Yuan wore brocade robes, the kind only a marquis was permitted to wear. Because he had married such a good wife, this desperate gamble of his had earned him not only rank, but a title, Marquis of Romyang. Wealth passed down through generations meant nothing to mother. She simply let out a long breath of relief. Even if he must go to war again, now that he holds both rank and title, surely Surely he will no longer have to serve as the vanguard. Even when the whole family was finally reunited, when every adult in the household wore bright, relieved smiles, little Yuan clung tightly to my leg. She was already 5 years old, yet she had never forgotten that night, the night she fell asleep with her mother beside her, only to wake and find her gone. Her round, glistening eyes widened. She puffed out her cheeks, gave a soft, indignant huff, and turned her face away, refusing to let her parents see her expression. Brother Yuan had faced blades and blood without flinching. He was a man forged on the battlefield. Yet before this small child, his eyes reddened at once. When he left, his daughter had still been in her mother's womb. When he returned, she was a real little person, one who knew how to sulk at him in earnest. As for coaxing children, even sister-in-law raised both hands in surrender. But brother Yuan truly doted on Yuanan. If she wanted to ride a horse, he would lower himself and let her climb onto his back, carrying her across the courtyard with steady steps. If she wanted the moon, he would lift her up to the rooftop, raise her high in his arms so she could stretch toward the silver light, laughing in bright, chiming giggles as her fingers reached for it. Moonlight poured gently into the courtyard of the Song residence, washing the stone path and tiled roofs in pale radiance. And in that moment, I thought, may our family always remain together like this. Forever reunited. End of the story. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Love Stories with Lisa for more stories. Thank you so much.